You ever watch a pro player just pull a win out of nowhere, even when they're totally outnumbered? It's not magic, right? It's mastery. See, winning isn't always about having more stuff. It's about how you use your stuff together in these insane battle-flipping combos. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today, the art of spell synergy.
All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with why synergy is just so darn important. Then we'll dive into the craziest spell combos for Protoss, Zerg, and Terran. And we'll wrap up with how you can actually start using these in your own games. Okay, first up, the power of synergy. We're talking about going from just having a bunch of units to having a truly coordinated force. So I want you to really think about this for a second. When you go into a fight, are your units actually fighting together, or are they just, well, dying? Because, see, when your army works together, amplifying each other, that's synergy. And that's the difference between a great fight and just feeding your units to the enemy, one by one. All right, let's kick things off with the Protoss. These guys are all about psychic mastery, completely overwhelming the enemy with both mind and matter. Okay, let's look at maybe the most iconic 1-2 punch in the entire Protoss arsenal. We've got Maelstrom and Psionic Storm. I mean, on their own, they're fantastic spells, but when you put them together, oh man, it is absolutely game-ending. We're talking about the classic combo between the Dark Archon and the High Templar. So here's how it works, and it's just beautiful in its brutality. First, the Dark Archon drops a Maelstrom on a big clump of biological units. Think Marines, Hydras, whatever. And bam! They're just frozen. Can't move, can't shoot, nothing. And then, while they're sitting there completely helpless, the High Templar just unleashes that sweet, sweet Psionic Storm right on top of them. In that number, right there, 112, that tells you everything you need to know. A full Psionic Storm dishes out 112 points of damage. That's enough to just flat out delete a lot of core bio units. And the best part? Since they're locked down by Maelstrom, there's absolutely no escape. It is pure, unavoidable devastation. But Protoss isn't just about raw damage, you know? It's also about playing mind games, about deception. And that's where the hallucination spell comes into play. You can create two perfect, but totally fake copies of one of your units. They look real, they move real, but they do 0 damage and take double. And this opens up some of the most galaxy brain plays you'll ever see. Check this out. The Feint and Recall. You cast Hallucination on an Arbiter and send the fakes flying towards the enemy's base. Your opponent, naturally, freaks out and starts shooting them with everything they have. But while all their turrets and units are busy shooting at ghosts, your real Arbiter just casually floats right past all the chaos and recalls your entire army into their main. It's beautiful. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the Zerg. Their whole philosophy on synergy is different. It's less about a clean 1-2 punch and more about just warping the entire battlefield to their will. It's straight-up biological warfare. And you can't talk about Zerg battlefield control without talking about the Defiler's Dark Swarm. This thing creates this big, nasty-looking cloud, but inside that chaos, it's actually a perfect safe zone for all your ground troops. And here's the kicker, what makes it so insane. Any of your ground units inside that swarm take 0 damage from ranged attacks. Let that sink in. Marines, Dragoons, even siege tanks, they become completely useless. Their bullets just poof into nothing. This lets your Zerglings and Lurkers just walk right up to their front door and shred everything to pieces without taking a scratch from ranged fire. Now imagine this. While your army is chilling safely inside that dark swarm, your Defiler can cast its other nasty little spell, Plague. This thing infects a huge area of enemy units and just melts their health down, almost to 0. It leaves them with like a sliver of HP. It doesn't kill them outright, but it makes them so fragile that literally anything can finish them off in one shot. Okay, but what about air units? Zerg's got a nasty combo for them too. It's all about combining the Queen's Ensnare with the Devourer's Acid Spores. This is the ultimate you're not going anywhere lockdown for air fleets. It's a stacking nightmare for the opponent. First, the Queen hits the fleet with Ensnare, covering them in this gross goo that just cripples their movement and attack speed. Then, your Devourers start attacking, and with every single hit, their Acid Spores stack on top of that slowing their attack rate down even more. What's the result? A multi-thousand resource carrier fleet turns into a bunch of floating paperweights that can barely move or shoot back. And now for the Terrans. Their synergies are all about what they do best, cold, hard, mechanical precision. It's not about magic or goo, it's about using superior technology to deliver incredibly calculated and devastating strikes. Okay, this next one is so clever. I love this. It's the Irradiated Suicide Unit. So, a science vessel casts defensive matrix on a cheap, tanky unit like a firebat. That gives it a huge temporary shield. Then, you cast Irradiate on that same shielded firebat. Now you've basically created a walking radioactive bomb that can run into a pack of Zerglings, soak up tons of damage thanks to the shield, all while its radiation aura just melts everything biological around it.
Now, if you want to take that idea to an even more brutal level, there's a technique called the eraser. This is just mean. You take a group of your own science vessels, cast your radiate on all of them, and then just fly them over your opponent's mineral line. The overlapping radiation damage just erases their entire worker line in seconds. It's risky for sure, but man, if it works, it's crippling.
But when Terran wants to end the game, especially against Protoss, it almost always starts with this bad boy, the EMP shockwave. A single shot from a science vessel just instantly vaporizes all shields and all spell energy in a huge area. Just gone. And this right here is its magnum opus, the Nexus Killer. You're up against a heavily defended Protoss base. Step 1, hit that Nexus with an EMP. Boom, all its shields are gone in a flash. That tough, tanky building is now totally naked. And then, step 2, a ghost calls down a single nuke. With no shields to protect it, that Nexus is just deleted from the map. It is the ultimate way to crack a tough base. So we've looked at some absolutely insane combos across all three races. The big question is, how do you take these ideas and actually start applying them? How do you turn your army into that coordinated force we've been talking about? Look, the big takeaway here is that it's not enough to just know these combos exist. You gotta practice them. You have to know your spells, their energy costs, their range. You need to anticipate what your opponent is building. And most importantly, you need to practice your hotkeys and your timings so you can pull it off when the pressure is on. That's how you make the switch.
And one more crucial point. These plays don't just magically happen. The best players set them up with really sharp build orders that prioritize fast tech. Think of builds like Flash's 1-1-1 that gets science vessels out super early. The sooner you get your spellcasters on the field, the sooner you can start controlling the game. Ultimately, these spell synergies are what separate the good players from the great ones. They're the difference between just playing the game and truly imposing your will on the battlefield. So, the only question left is, which one of these amazing combos are you going to master first?